Welcome back to another episode of The Alarmists, a very special episode, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great writer, someone I know for over 30 years, AJ Benza, and we have another incredible celebrity photographer who's seen it all, Dave Alaka, and today we're going to get into it, man.
I'll tell you what began it with me. When I felt the tide changing was the war on men, the war on boys.
Me too.
Before Me Too, there was a war on men, a war on masculinity. Boys couldn't be the same way they were in school. And it started with that. Then you got into Me Too, which was warranted. I give you that. Then it got into Time's Up. Then it got into cancel culture, politically correct. You've got the LGBTQ. They want the P for pedophilia on that alphabet badly. And it's happening every day. There's more articles trying to make us accept it. It's all nonsense, and the people who are coming up the rear, who maybe will run this country one day, it's hopeless. Could you imagine these 20-year-olds storming Normandy? Could you imagine?
No, they wouldn't even have a clue what that's about.
We'd all be speaking German right now. We'd all be speaking
But
German.
what about, I mean, like, look, I know it's out there in the public. You were approached by Harvey Weinstein. He was going to pay you $20,000 a month to put it. Explain what that's about.
Well, here's what happened. In 2003, I found out by accident. I bought a painting for Harvey. I was not writing anymore. I bought a painting for him, and the girl who sold me the painting said, "Who's this for?" I said, "My buddy Harvey Weinstein." She said, inadvertently, "He's dating a friend of mine in England." I called him. I said, "Why does somebody in LA know you're cheating on your wife?" He said, "Holy shit, what do we do?" Him and I sat down. I gave him gossip for days and days. He gave me a lot of money for a year to supply his publicist with gossip. So if the story ever came out before his divorce, they could kill it. It never came out. I got my money. Fast forward to 2017. I didn't deal with him for 14 years. Suddenly, he wants me to help him because he hears there's going to be a hit piece on him. He never said rape. He never said they've got me here and there. He just said a hit piece. I said, whatever you want.
So you had no idea about the Ronan Farrow story?
No, of course not. I got a daughter. I got a wife. I would never help out a rapist. I said, look, tell me what we got to do. He goes, let's find out who's talking. I'll call you. He never called. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Finally, he said, hang tight. And then the story broke in I think the Times. And Harvey texted me and said, help me. And at that point, I said, this is not going to help. Ronan Farrow is spotless. He's, he is who he is. He's one of the elites, and there was nothing to do. I've talked to Harvey since about the whole, before he went away. He always insisted everything was consensual. I know a lot of the girls who went up there in court were lying. I'll always feel that way. Mm-hmm. But if he committed one rape, he needs to do the time. I have no problem saying that. And I was asked to testify, and then there was a motion, and they stopped me from coming in.
Why did they stop you? Why were they?
Harvey's team didn't want it. The prosecution wanted me in, and I said, sure, I'll come, because they found an email from him and I that dealt with he needed help, a text message. And it was just me saying, okay, well, nobody can talk ill about Ronan Farrow. He is who he is. And that's the extent of it. So I never testified. I might have to in LA when it comes here, because then it'll be ruled I have to, because I'm a resident in LA. I wasn't a resident in New York. But right. Look, Harvey was a certain kind of guy that I always assumed got laid. I never thought he'd lock doors and push girls into. I had no idea about that. Never. Everybody in Hollywood loved him. You've seen all the Academy Awards and all the platitudes he got. A lot of these people were in on it. A lot of stars were in on it. Agents, publicists were in on it. Nobody.
I'll tell you something. I caught him in 2001, a week before 9/11, in Saint-Tropez.
You did.
I don't do that kind of thing, but I remember what I saw.
But there's nothing new. It's nothing new.
The point is, I remember sitting with Richard Johnson.
It's been going on since the 20s.
I remember sitting with Richard Johnson, mentioning that to him when he was running Page Six. He wouldn't touch it. He wouldn't even think about it.
No, I
nobody,
know.
Nobody, everybody was afraid of Harvey Weinstein.
You know what? If somebody told me when I had my column, they got an item about Harvey cheating, I wouldn't have touched it either. If there was a story about Harvey being a rapist, I would have called him and said, you better fucking look into this, because this is going to get out. But I'm a loyal friend. I have friends who are murderers. I have friends who've done awful things. A lot of mafia guys. They can be really good to me and my family, but they do certain things in life. Harvey, I never knew to be a rapist. I knew him to be a very brash guy that gets laid like most studio heads. This is all new information, but Google and other people tend to they're misled into thinking I helped them. No, he asked me, and I did nothing.
No, that's why I wanted you to
to
make it clear right now. Yeah. So,
Yeah, no
now,
problem.
what happens if they call you to testify when the case goes to LA?
I mean, I'd rather not, because I'll always care about the guy. I hate what happened, but if they want me to come in and talk about a text message I sent them, I have no qualms doing it. I don't want to.
What was in that text message? Can you?
It was the text mess. The text message was him saying, he texted me 2 words, "Help me," and I texted back saying, "Look, Ronan Farrow is unimpeachable. He's clean. He's one of the Hollywood elite. I think he was dating Barack Obama's speechwriter at the time. And I don't really know Ronan. I never hung out with him. I just know that now, when I started reading stories, I was the first guy on my podcast to say, I don't trust these things that Farrow is saying. A lot of these issues are not factually backed up."